It's game time. Tackle your epic tailgating parties in a snap. Join Sam's Club today for big savings on all your game day favorites. Score big points with your family and friends by grilling up pork loin back ribs just $2.98 per pound. Save $4 off 2 bags of Kingsford Original Charcoal Briquettes, Limit 3. Whether you're feeding a small huddle or a huge crowd, Sam's Club prices will make your tailgate a winner. Join and save. Sam's Club. Life is better in the club. See club for details.
That music wanted to play forever, didn't it? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Florida Boy Sports. I'm Steve O'Reilly, joined with my partner in crime, Fabian Washington. Fabian, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, Steve-O and Fabo. Let's rock out.
Feels good to be back on air. We had a very exciting weekend of football, some good Monday night matchups. The last one wasn't so good, but we had some good... I couldn't stay awake for that ass whooping. That was ugly. We'll get to that in a minute. But we had some great college games also over the weekend. Saturday was just as fun as Sunday. And, a lot of good stuff to talk about. Obviously, the big news in the football world is the quarterback situation with a lot of teams, talking about the Patriots and Jimmy Garoppolo. Everybody was excited to see how he would perform. Trevor Siemian with his first start for the world champion Denver Broncos. You have an up-and-coming Raiders team that looked very, very good. Jack Del Rio had some big balls going for the 2-point win on Sunday, which was fun to watch. So, we'll kind of touch base on all the games and, talk about some interesting coaching decisions, some interesting defensive coordinator decisions. What game jumps out at you the most, Fabe? What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind?
What game jumps out at me the most is my Oakland Raiders. Man, that was a game. I was sweating. I was nervous because I'm always rooting for those guys to win, along with Baltimore for obvious reasons. But the Oakland Raider game stood out because they came back from 14 points down. A typical Raiders team, 14 points down, they're going to lay down. That's pretty much, it is what it is. You're going to lay down, and you're going to lose that game. But Jack Del Rio rallied the troops and got those guys to pull within it. Once they pulled within a touchdown, I thought it was going to be possible. And when they scored the touchdown, I'm like, okay, tie ball game. And I see my second-year quarterback saying, we're going for 2. I'm like, huh? Wait, what? Wait, hold on now. We're going for 2? So I'm on the couch literally with my hands, like literally praying. So I'm thinking, okay, we just finna hit him right down the gut, run right at him. Why not? You're on the 1.5 yard line, 2 yard line. Hey, why not? Run right at him. I seen the quarterback snap the ball, take 3 steps back, and my eyes lit up. I said, what the hell is this? And Carr threw the ball to the outside. The ball placement was phenomenal. And the receiver caught the ball, and I literally just got up, started running around the house, yelling, oh, my God, we won. We won. We won. I'm so excited at this point. not realizing, I think it was like 40 seconds left for Drew Brees to do what Drew Brees does. And he pretty much drove down the field and got them into field goal range, and the kicker just had the distance. He just was wide left. And at that point, I was like, man, Coach Del Rio had some big cojones to do that, man, because all coaches would go for the tie right there, and let's figure this out in overtime. But he said, hey, let's make a statement. We're going to win this game. And I love the way he made that call. And Steve, just I'm going to point something out to you. The last time the Raiders won an opening week was 2011 against the Denver Broncos.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So that's a little fun fact, but man, it was amazing to watch those guys win.
You know what? I want to ask you as a former player, going forward on two like that, does it have any downside? I mean, even if he doesn't get it and they come away with a loss, do you look at your coach and say, okay, he's playing to win? You know, I can get on board with that. I like that. I mean, is there a downside to it, even if he doesn't work?
Yes, it's a downside to it, because if it doesn't work, we lose. And now everybody's pissed walking around the locker room talking about, why didn't he just kick the extra point? Trust me. So he had to know the benefits and the downfalls of what his decision making was going to do. And obviously he made that decision and he was willing to live with it, and it worked out. So it is what it is. Good coaches make tough decisions, man. Hey, this one worked out, and I'm happy it did, man. I like what Jack Del Rio is doing with my Raiders.
Oh, no doubt about it. He's got them humming. They believe, they're buying in. That's the key. You know, in my opinion, I've never played in the NFL. You have, obviously, and you know a lot better than I do. But in my opinion, the key is whether you believe or not. Like you said, you alluded to it earlier. Normally, if the Raiders are down 14, they fold like a lawn chair. They say, oh, here we go again. Same old Raiders. You know, same old shit. But they don't feel that way anymore. Now it's different. You know, they have this mentality that we're not out of it yet. We're going to keep fighting until the very end, and let's see what happens. And I think that belief and that buying in, it makes a huge difference in wins and losses. And I think you saw it this Sunday, you know?
Yeah, hey. I'm a believer in the Raiders. Obviously, in our week one, I picked the Raiders to win the division. So, you know, I'm a believer in them. And beating Drew Brees in New Orleans just justifies that. Hey, go Raiders.
Yeah, they're going to be tough. I know you picked them to win the AFC West, and you may be on to something. They just might.
Obviously, you know it's going to come down to them and those guys in Colorado.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the quarterback situation. We got to see, you know, if Denver makes a change, you know, I don't see them redshirting, for lack of a better word. I don't see Lynch sitting on the bench the whole season. I just don't. So, but we don't know what he's going to bring either, you know. So it's hard for me to say definitively, yeah, they'll be there at the end. They should be, you know, with their defense. But what if they make a coaching or a quarterback change and he's just terrible? You know, and then, you know, you can't really go back to Simeon at that point, because then you're going to ruin that kid's confidence. You know, you never know. It's too many variables. Yes,
it is. Long season, man. It's week one. You're not going to get any overreactions from me tonight. Hey, it's week one. It is what it is. A win or a loss isn't going to kill your season in week one.
Absolutely. I agree. I just want to let everybody know, all of our guests out there, just got a text message from the Hall of Famer Warren Sapp. He will be joining us tonight. He asked me what time we'd like him to come on. He should be on around 9 o'clock, but he can call in whenever. So anytime is good, but we're going to have him just fresh off the boat from catching some big fish and lobsters and everything else that he does on his free time. So we got him coming on. I'm sure he'll talk a little Raiders and some Buccaneers and a little bit of everything. That'll be a good time. So stay tuned for that as well, folks. Always good to have a Hall of Fame talent come on your show.
Absolutely,
anyway,
the big fella.
Yeah, that's your former teammate. I'm sure you guys got some stories.
A couple.
All right, let's talk a little bit about Jeff Fisher, because I want to know why Jeff Fisher is still employed. No, let me stop.
Hey, speak your mind, man. Speak your mind.
He's not ready to be fired yet, but that seat has to be hot, because here's a guy who all we hear all off season is how great their front seven is and how this defense is just built with just monsters up front. And, you know, he fleeced the Browns for RG3 a while ago. He got all these first-round picks, and he got all this extra stuff, and it's just a way to build a franchise. And then they come out and get dominated on open when they had all summer to prepare, and they couldn't even put up 1 point. You got the best running back in the league. He had, 50 yards rushing. I mean, San Francisco is not a team that is a world beater. Blaine Gabbert is not. He's not. Blaine Gabbert is no Tom Brady. Don't get it twisted. I mean, this is a guy who was in a fight to get out there and start, and then he comes in and he puts up almost 30 points on supposedly the best front seven and the most dominating defensive front. I don't understand it. So there's got to be a disconnect somewhere, whether it's coaching or whether it's, I don't know, the players have to play. I understand that. But it just seems like no matter where Jeff Fisher goes, he's mediocre to average. But yeah, he's been in the league forever. So, I mean, I know it's an old boys club in many, many regards. The NFL is about who you know, and I know he's a member of a lot of committees. I think he's on the competition committee and other things like that. So I know he's very politically invested in the NFL, and I'm not saying he's, you know, a terrible coach, but at some point the rubber has to meet the road. You've had multiple high round picks. You've had, you know, you've got you took a quarterback number 1 overall who's your third stringer. I mean, he's not even a backup. So is that development? Is that picking the wrong guy? I mean, at some point, the buck, it falls on your shoulders, if you will. I don't know. I'm at a loss. What do you think, Fabe?
Like I said, I'm not going to overreact on week 1. But he's probably the best 9-7 coach of all time. I mean, 7-9 coach, because that's usually his record. I didn't understand a lot of things last night. I thought halfway through the second quarter, it was probably time to snatch Case Keenum. You could absolutely see his head wasn't in it. He looked, Case, and I was a fan of Case going into this game, by the way. Case absolutely looked like he didn't belong in the NFL. He looked like a college freshman, like a deer in the headlights. I just didn't get it. And things I didn't like about the defense was, yes, Greg is a phenomenal defensive mind. He's a phenomenal defensive coordinator. But those defensive linemen have to stay in the gap. I'm talking about when they're pass rushing also, all Blaine Gabbert did was just step up and scramble. That's all he did. It's like, come on, dude. You see this is an athletic quarterback. I understand they have that type of defensive line that pin their ears back and they go get the quarterback. But if you see you're not getting to the quarterback, now let's make a change. Let's stay in front of him. Make him throw the ball. Make him throw the ball to beat us. Don't let his legs beat us. It was a lot of things I just didn't like about last night. Coming into this season, I thought the Rams were going to be at least competitive. Last night, they didn't even look like they belonged against the San Francisco 49ers, which is another team that doesn't belong. Trust me. That team isn't good. They just beat a worse team. So they got to go back to the drawing board this week and figure out how to get the ball to their $42 million man, Tavon Austin. You pay the man, you got to get him the ball. Hey, one thing we do know, he can take the top off, but can the quarterback get him the ball? See, it's so many things that I feel like they have to get in that office and go back to the drawing board. I understand you have your set of plays that you want to run, but, man, maybe you just got to try something different because it didn't work week one at all. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to overreact. I'm not going to say fire Jeff Fisher, but I don't get it. Go ahead, Steve.
It looked like they lost their composure. That was one of the things. I mean, especially with Donald getting kicked out of the game and slamming his helmet down. They looked frustrated. You know, I mean, and it's just week one, like you said. So how do you get that frustrated after 3 quarters of football? It's not like you lost 10 in a row or you lost 7 out of the last 8 games and you know everything is starting to build up. I mean, you're talking about 3 quarters of football. And you're already that frustrated that you're getting kicked out of games and you're losing your composure. So to me, that tells me that the players maybe are a little bit more frustrated than we realize. Maybe there's something going on behind the scenes, you know, that they may not be buying into that system either. And when things start going wrong, it's, hey, see what I'm talking about? This is pissing me off. And then it shows quick.
It's a culture of losing. Players are tired of it too. They want to win. You bust your butt all summer. You bust your butt during training camp, and you're not getting the results that you want. Somehow, somebody has to step up and be a leader on that team. Laurinaitis isn't there anymore. Cook isn't there anymore. Who's the leader? Who's the old guy in the locker room that everybody's going to listen to and rally the troops? When you're only down by 14, when you're still in a ball game, who's that guy?
Mm-hmm. It's a good point.
I don't know.
You know, it'll be interesting when we get Warren on the show because he can talk to us specifically about that culture of losing because I've had the privilege to talk to him on air before, and he's talked about what it was like playing for the Buccaneers and, you know, having to turn that ship around and having to go from a culture of losing to a championship caliber team. And he was one of the main reasons that they were able to do that. So when he comes on, we will ask him specifically about that and what the feeling is like and how they can go about turning it around because it's not like they don't have the talent. I mean, like we said, they've had how many first-round picks? How many people did they trade to get even more first-round picks? I mean, just with RG3 trade alone, I mean, they got, 3 first-round picks just out of that deal itself. So it's not like they don't have the talent. It's not like they don't have the players. The quarterback situation's a little iffy. We'll give you that. But, come on, you got to at least find somebody who's serviceable. But anyway, we'll get back on that topic a little bit more. A little piece of news today that we were talking about earlier, Fabe, was C.J. Spiller. The Saints released C.J. Spiller, and it wasn't so much that they released him that we find interesting. It's the timing in which they released him. Because now, go ahead, tell the sports world what it means as a veteran to be on that roster come Thursday of week 1. It means what? Go right ahead.
Dude, that was unbelievable to me to release C.J. Spiller. For one, let me get this straight. I'm not a business major, but you paid a guy $1.5 million in March for a roster bonus. Okay, that's fine. You go into camp and you see you don't want this guy. Now you can cut your losses there now. You can cut your losses at, hey, I'm gonna cut this guy at this point because, I don't feel like he's gonna be a part of our system. He's not in our plans. We can save some money. We can save $1.7 million. Well, the Saints went into Sunday with C.J. Spiller still on the active roster, and he was deactivated Sunday. A coach's decision, meaning he wasn't hurt. It was a coach's decision to sit him. And now Monday they cut him. Now, if you know anything about the NFL, the work week starts on Wednesday. Once you get to Wednesday or Thursday, your check is coming no matter when they cut you that week. You're going to still get that week game check. But since CJ is vested in the NFL, meaning he's played 3 years, 3 games, I think that's the vested mark. 3 years, 3 games. Now, by them cutting him today, his full $1.7 million is guaranteed. They could have saved $1.7 million if they cut him just a week earlier. If you didn't want the guy, don't pay him to walk. I wish somebody would have did that to me. Pay me $1.7 million to walk, but
I'll be a tackling dummy. Let's do whatever you want for them.
Exactly, but
the only thing I can think of is that guy Daniel Lasco, who is the young kid they got, and I'm wondering, and I'm just spitballing here, but I'm wondering if they wanted to wait to see actual live game action before they pulled the trigger. They want to see, is this kid, can he play? Can he do it at the, when the lights are on? And, maybe that was the reason. Or maybe they just felt like, I don't know, Spiller wasn't what they wanted. I don't know. I don't know what the reason was, but it was an expensive one.
That was a very expensive decision.
Well, here's a little piece of factual information. The New Orleans Saints lead the NFL in dead money. In dead money, what that means in layman's terms is money already spent. It's money spent on signing bonuses, roster bonuses, whatever. It means you already spent it. So $37.8 million in dead money the Saints have right now. They lead the NFL in that category. They have spent more money on dead money than anybody else in the league, which is not a good thing to be leading the NFL in, because you got no recourse for it. You're not getting anything for it. Just like with, C.J. Spiller, he's not going to give you any benefit at this point. He's no longer with you. If the next team, go ahead.
Oh, and I was just gonna piggyback on what I was talking about earlier. Yes, he gets his 1.7, and whoever signed him, because somebody's going to sign C.J. Spiller, he's going to be getting 2 checks a week at that point, because the Saints have to pay him, and whatever other team picks him up has to pay him. It sucks being cut, doesn't it?
It's the old offset language. That's what that fight is about. So some of you fans, when you hear that they're arguing about offset language, that's what that argument is. In the contract that teams write, they want to make sure that if they cut a guy and they get signed by another team, that they're off the hook. They don't have to keep paying him. Some guys will fight for that. Some guys, each contract is different and unique, but that's what that argument is about at times. So I don't know if he had offset language or not, but like you said, he's probably going to be piggybacking. If he gets another team to sign him, he'll be getting 2 checks. So good for him.
Absolutely. Hey, I love it.
Make the money.
Make every dime they're going to give you.
Absolutely. What about what other games jumped out at you?
A game that jumped out at me was Kansas City. How slow they started. I didn't think they would start that slow, especially if they want to compete for the division. Now, they did turn it around. They turned it around and played phenomenal on the back end of that game. But in the beginning, it was a mess. They couldn't score and they couldn't stop anybody. I was like, wow, this is baffling to me because I thought the Chiefs would literally come out and dominate San Diego. I thought they was going to dominate San Diego, and that didn't happen at all.
Yeah, it's always interesting in football how much momentum plays a part of it. Once, you saw it with the Oakland game. Once that tide starts to turn and that momentum starts to shift, especially when you're at home, it's harder to do on the road because you don't have the crowd behind you rooting you on. But, in Kansas City, out of all the players I've ever talked to, and I know you've played in that division, so Arrowhead is loud, very,
black
very
and
loud.
blue division. That's a black and blue division. You get beat up every week.
Yep. And it is loud, and it's cold. I remember one time playing golf with John Mobley down here in Florida. He was down and came to my country club. We went out and played some golf. And he told me that the worst stadium he ever played was in Kansas City. He said it was so cold he couldn't feel his feet. He couldn't feel his fingers. He said it was probably like 4 degrees, but a wind chill factor of like minus 15. He said it's so loud that you couldn't even hear yourself think. He's like, in the stands, they're throwing things at you. They're pouring beer at you when you come out of the tunnel, so you got frozen beer going down your back. He's like, you just can't wait to get out of there. He said there's just nothing fun about it. And that always stuck with me. Every time I see a Chiefs game, I always think about how, he told me that place was just, not fun whatsoever. I'm sure you got some stories.
Oh, it was never fun for me. When I was with the Raiders, we went 0-3 in that place. As soon as you get there, it's miserable. For one, the locker room is the size of someone's garage. So you got half of the team getting dressed inside, half of the team getting dressed outside. Man, their fans, I actually love their fans because of how passionate they are. I don't love them. I don't love them because they're cursing me out or whatever, but I just love their passion. It's almost like a college atmosphere when you go to Kansas City. So I used to love playing there, but I took 3 L's in a row in that place until I changed teams. And we beat them first round. When I went to the Ravens, we beat them first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, little different atmosphere with Baltimore, I'm sure. What was the stadium you hated the most out of all the stadiums you played in? Which one sucked?
Philadelphia. They were brutal, dude. It's like,
well, they threw snowballs at Santa Claus.
Dude, they would throw stuff at the buses coming in. They would throw stuff at you as you leaving the locker room, as you going into the locker room. I'm like, man, this is a rough crowd, dude. So
yeah, there's a lot of fights there too. I've seen a lot of fights on camera.
Well, they have a jail inside the stadium. That tells you something. But yeah, it's pretty rough there, man. So I would say that was the roughest place I had to play at.
What was your favorite stadium?
My favorite road stadium?
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah. Your home stadium would probably be your favorite, but on the road. Okay. As a visitor, when you walked in, you went, "Damn, this is nice. I could get used to this."
Seattle.
Really?
Seattle's not. Oh, it's nice as long as it's not raining. That's the only problem. Me being a Raider.
One weekend.
Me being a Raider.
Year.
I know, but me being a Raider, we had to play them every preseason game when I was there. So you would walk in, and I think their stadium at that time was relatively new, and their fans were amazing. Like their fans weren't Eagle fans. Their fans were amazing when you come in. They're loud. They're loud as hell. Everybody knows the 12th man is loud as hell, but they weren't a disrespectful type loud. They just was cheering for their team. And I could respect that, but when you walk in, it was beautiful in that stadium.
That sounds pretty nice. To be honest, I only been to about 4 stadiums myself, but always obviously as a fan. And my favorite, I love Tampa Bay. I think that's my favorite to visit. The cannons and the ship, and every time they score, all that. You could really start to root for the Bucks when you're there. You know, as a fan, because it's just so fun. It's like you feel like you're a pirate.
Yeah, I went last season, and I enjoyed my time at Tampa Stadium as a fan. That was actually my first game since retiring NFL game that I attended, and I've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
definitely got to get out to more. Yeah, I'm definitely going to more.
The worst one I ever went to, quick story, 2005, I scored tickets to the Dolphins versus the Broncos home opener in Miami. So it's September, 5th, 4th, whatever. Still hot, 98-something degrees. And we were running a little late. Me and my brother went, and we were running a little late. So we didn't stop at the bank to get cash because we figured, there'll be ATMs there. Somebody would take debit or credit card to be able to buy beer, drinks, or whatever. We get there, and they don't have any ATM machines that were working. I can't remember if they were broken or they just weren't there. But for whatever reason, it was a cash only, and they didn't take any ATM cards. So we literally sat there for like 4 hours, sweating, and we were right on the lower level at the end zone, so we were out of the shade. And I swear to God, my freckles were fighting each other to get out of the heat. I couldn't take it anymore. We had nothing to drink. I had my Champ Bailey jersey on. Denver got beat like 38-13. It was an embarrassment. It was so hot. I said, I'm never coming back to this stadium again. I don't care. It was the worst Sunday I ever had in my life watching a football game. It was awful. And you know how hot it gets. It was so hot. Oh, my God, was it hot.
Miserable hot. Yes.
Yes. It felt like equator hot. It just was not fun whatsoever. But anyway, we'll carry on talking a little bit more about football. You know what an interesting dichotomy that I always find when I watch Tuesday mornings or Monday mornings after the weekend?
Steven.
What?
Dichotomies. Talk English.
That's the word I use. It's an interesting dichotomy. Google it. You'll be all right, Dave. You went to Nebraska.
Sheesh. Speak English.
All right. An interesting situation that I find is how fast the storyline changes when a kicker misses a kick. The game doesn't change whatsoever. The players make the same amount of tackles. They get the same amount of catches. They got the same amount of plays. Nothing changes, but the guy misses a kick, and now the whole entire storyline changes. And I think that's incredible to me. I just don't understand it. You look at the Broncos, for example. They got lucky. The guy missed a kick. If he doesn't miss the kick, they lose. And the whole storyline is, well, they can't win with the quarterback they have, and we knew they'd fall off without Manning. Same thing happens with New England. The guy misses a 47-yard kick, and now it's, Jimmy Garoppolo, he's good. We told you he'd win. Brady better look out. But if the guy makes the kick, they lose. And the writers rip the paper out of the typewriter and start all over again with an entirely different storyline, all because of one play, one kick that had nothing to do with the rest of the team.
One play. You had one job.
You know what I mean? It's like the Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
It's like Scott Norwood, wide left, changed the entire, I don't want to use a big word for you, but it changed the entire landscape. It changed the entire landscape of Buffalo Bills history. They went from the best team that could never win it, all because the guy missed a kick. But the game didn't change. The quarterback played the exact same game. He wasn't even on the field. I don't know. That just baffles my mind. But anyway, kickers.
Who gets the blame?
What can you do? I don't know. The kicker gets the blame. Well, usually
And
the
I think
snapper.
that's a bunch of crock. Either way, if he makes it or misses it, he didn't win it. He didn't lose it. He shouldn't have been in the situation.
Right. Well, that's true, especially in the Denver game. You saw the Denver game, right?
Yes.
Did you see the 4th and 21 hands to the face, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down, where both guys, Kelvin Benjamin and Chris Harris, slap each other in the face mask at the same time? They both did it. I have a picture of it. So as soon as the ball snapped, he goes to jam them, and they both hit each other in the face. And then they keep running. Literally happened maybe a second, 2 seconds tops. And the guy from the back judge comes flying in with a flag, automatic first down, 5-yard penalty, 4th and 21. Had nothing to do with the play whatsoever, but gives them a new chance, new life. But like they say, ball don't lie. That's why he missed. He shouldn't have had that kick in the first place.
I don't think that's why he missed, but okay.
Yeah, it's karma, football karma. Anyway, you're right. That's not why he missed. He actually made the first one. It was a good timeout. He made the first one. But
yeah, man. But let's talk about last night.
Which one? First one or second one? Oh, your Redskins.
Washington, not my Redskins at all. Washington Redskins versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I observed what the world observed. Why would you pay a guy that kind of money to cover air?
Josh Norman.
Why wouldn't he be on the number one guy?
I don't know.
You're
the cornerback. You tell me.
I don't see it. He has to be. Don't get me wrong. Some teams, Seattle, they can get away with it, where Richard doesn't have to follow the number one receiver because they usually have a pretty good number two. A damn good number two, actually. They usually keep a damn good number two. But that's
safeties. I mean,
exactly.
Earl Thomas
it's a lot to go into it. It's a lot to go into it. Pass rush, everything. And me watching that game in the first quarter, I seen it, and I'm like, wow, what's going on here? Why isn't he following him? Why isn't Josh Norman following AB? So I'm like, okay, maybe they're trying to figure things. Maybe they're trying to just see what Pittsburgh is going to do on offense, and then they'll make their adjustments. Well, first quarter go on. AB hasn't done too much in the first quarter, so you really don't notice it, but I noticed it because I'm looking for this matchup. This is 1 versus 1. It's some people that will say Josh Norman is the best cornerback in the NFL. It's some people that will say AB is the best receiver in the NFL. I wanted to see this matchup badly. I'm talking about I want to see this matchup. That gets my juices going when I see matchups like this. And I didn't get to see this matchup. I got to see the Washington Redskins versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, which that's not why I tuned in. But I'm looking at the defensive coordinator like, okay, you see Breeland is having trouble with AB. This is in the second quarter. This is when the world spotted it, but I seen it first quarter that they weren't matching up. I'm like, okay, Breeland is struggling. You might want to put your number one guy on AB. And I'm just thinking, I know at halftime they're going to make that adjustment. I'm talking about my daughter could have seen that. Like, they're going to make that adjustment. They came back out. I see Norman at left corner, Breeland at right corner. I'm like, all right, let's see what's going on. Well, AB went nuts after that. And everybody else. But I'm not going to blame that on Breeland. I'm blaming that on the defensive coordinator. He has to make that change. When you paid a dog to come there to cover. Let him cover. People say, well, you don't want him going left and right because it can confuse the defense. You can make him following a receiver. You can make that work within the framework of the defense. All you have to do, I didn't say make him play man-to-man all game. I just want him lined up in front of him. Give Pittsburgh that picture that he is playing man-to-man every play. Give him that picture, and then from there, you can run your zones. I'm not saying run a zone with him locked up, man. No, that would be stupid because now it's going to be an open zone somewhere, and if Pittsburgh find that zone is open. No, what I'm saying is just follow him. Just follow him. All right, if you're going to play cover 3, you can play cover 3 from the left and the right. If you're going to play cover 2, you can play cover 2 from the left and the right. If you're going to play cover 4, you can play cover 4 from the left and the right. So just follow him. Make it a matchup thing and make Pittsburgh have to think about what they had to do. It was no thinking involved last night. It was just throw it to 84, and they made Breeland look bad, which isn't on Breeland. That game was above his pay grade. That was above his pay grade. He shouldn't have been covering that dude all game. But
well, let me ask you some questions because we don't know. I don't know. I mean, you know a lot more than I know. I don't know about what our listeners know. But some of the reasons may be is the defense just structured that way, period, regardless of who they're facing? I mean, is it just this is how we do it? You know, like you said, in Seattle, I mean, a lot of times that's just how they roll, if you will. That's their mode of operation. I mean, is that a systemic structure, if you will? I mean, this is our defense, and it doesn't matter who we're facing. You stay over here, and that's the zone. You take this area, and you take that area. I mean, is that just the way they do it? Maybe to offset deficiencies? I mean, maybe Breeland is not so good at playing on one side as opposed to the other. Maybe he doesn't, come in and out of his breaks as well, from that side. I don't know. I mean, I'm spitballing. I'm asking. But, I mean, is there anything like that you could think of that would be a reason why they would do it?
There's a lot of reasons I can make up for them not to do it. I wouldn't pay a corner $50+ million and do it, though. If I have two corners on the same, I would say, of the same skill level, of the same playmaking ability, then yes, I'm going to go left and right corner. But if you got a corner that's elite, and they have a corner that's elite, Josh Norman is elite. So why wouldn't you match him up versus possibly the best receiver in football? I don't get that. I don't care what Breeland's deficiencies are. If he can't move to the left, make him work at it during practice that week. I promise you, those other two guys weren't going to kill him like that. No, I can't make up an excuse for that game plan, because if I lose, I want to lose best on best. Not my number 2 corner going against their number 1 receiver. Let's line up, go best on best, and let's rock out and let's see who wins. But that wasn't the case last night. It's not the offense's job to match up with the defense. It's the defense's job to match up with the offense. They had to do a better job. They just didn't do it.
Right.
They didn't do it. And I've been reading today, they say they're still not doing it. I hope that's just a curveball to Dallas, because if they're not going to do it, I know number 88 in Dallas, he's licking his chops right now. He's licking his chops. There's no way in hell you go into Dallas with that same game plan. There's no way.
He'll get smoked.
Again.
Mm-hmm. Now, when he was in Carolina, I mean, when you watch football games, I know you watch specifically sometimes just the corners, just to watch them work. When he was in Carolina, was he a follow? I know he did in the Super Bowl. I know he covered Demaryius Thomas exclusively. He stuck to him, so I know he was going back and forth. You know, he wasn't a one-side type guy then. He was all over the field. So it's not that he can't do it. We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it for all the marbles. So that's not the issue. So I guess the question then becomes is, what do you think they were thinking?
Steve, I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know. I can't fathom myself paying an elite corner as this guy is to not do that. And I seen from the interviews, he wants to do it.
Oh,
he want to do it. So why would you deny him that opportunity? Like
every athlete wants to go against the best. I mean, that's just a competitor.
Like, Steve, I was thinking to myself today, if AB would have beat the crap out of Norman last night, my thinking would have been, Norman had one of those games that every corner has in the NFL. That's what I was. If you play enough football, you're going to have one of those games. So
Revis just had it against the AJ.
Exactly. It happens. So I wouldn't be knocking Norman saying, oh, my God, he sucks, he's overpaid. No, he's not. He had a bad game. And I would be able to live with Washington losing like that. I can't live with Washington losing, not having their best on Pittsburgh best when Pittsburgh didn't have a clear-cut number 2 at all or number 3. Like, come on, dude. I just don't get it. Pittsburgh number 2 and 3 receiver was out of the game.
Yeah, they were hurt.
Come on. One is suspended for the year and the other one is hurt. Like, come on, man. I don't get that game plan. I'm not a defensive coordinator. I'm pretty sure the Redskins defensive coordinator could coach me in circles. Trust me. But that was a bad decision.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why either, obviously. I mean, if he can coach you in circles, he could coach me in so, I don't even know what, because there's so much. As simple as football sounds, it's not. It's very complicated. There's so many things that go on, and there's so many terminologies, and there's so many variations, and there's so many factors. You know, I remember one time talking to your old teammate, Vontae Leach. I had him on a segment I did years ago, and we were talking about, being a fullback. And I thought being a fullback was pretty easy. You run into the hole and you hit the lead tackler. But no, it is complicated. You have to, he's talking about setting up two-way goes and looking at this guy's outside shoulder, because if this guy does this, then you have to do this, but you have to make sure that he does that, because if he doesn't do that, then this could happen. So you've got to watch this, make sure this happens. And it's like he had my head spinning, and you got to think about all this, right pre-snap. While you're getting ready to hike the ball, you've got to go through all these mental reps in your head. Okay, well, if they're man-to-man, I got to do this. If they're in zone, I got to do this. And it's like, wow, I didn't really realize how intricate the thought process was at the NFL level. It's not like in college where you just line up and let your best athletes just take the ball and run. In the NFL, everybody's a great athlete. So you have to have technique. You have to have strategy. You have to play your role. And as the Patriots say, you have to do your job. So a lot of factors, a lot of interesting tidbits. It's like chess in more ways than one. So let's see. Any teams this weekend? I know we're not jumping to conclusions, but did any teams surprise you? Did any teams make you say, wow, they're a lot better than I thought they were?
Yes. A team about 70 miles from me, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis Winston is legit.
He is.
Hey, man, he is legit. That kid is slinging around the yard.
Absolutely.
He actually started slow that game. He started slow. I want to say it was 1 for 6 or something like that. And he just took off. He destroyed Atlanta secondary. Destroyed them. Man.
Well, I mean, he's always been a great athlete. He's a fantastic pitcher. He's got a great arm. He throws fastballs in the 90s. He's a low 90-mile-an-hour pitcher. I mean, we know.
I would say he's a great thrower, not athlete. You ever seen that kid run before?
Okay, yeah, I have.
He looks like he's about to trip over his own feet.
But he gets first down, doesn't he?
He does. I don't know how he do it. It just looks like every
he's
time.
a great athlete. He looks like he's running for his life, but he gets the job done.
He looks like he's just about to fall down every time he's about to run.
You know who else runs like that? Gronkowski. Gronk runs like a big goofball too, but he's sneaky fast. You know what I mean? Like next thing you know, he's picking up the first down or he's throwing a little shake. Something happens and he's faster than you think. Because they got long strides. You know, they're big. Jameis is what, 6'4", 6'5", at least?
Yep.
He's a long strider. It's hard to
He's
be.
a big boy.
Yeah, it's hard
He's a
to
big boy.
you know,
I'm not knocking Jameis. I love Jameis as a quarterback. I've always rocked with Jameis. But, man, it just doesn't look like his running flows. You know, I'm a runner, so
yeah, I know. You ran a 4.29. This guy
looks different when he runs.
This is a guy who runs a 4.29 40, and he's sitting here joking on everybody else who runs a 4.7. Well, not everybody's a Ferrari like you, Fabo. Some of us try. I bet you remember. Man. I bet you remember me out there in the flag football.
Yeah, I do.
We're not going to talk about that. I was invited. Well, we will because it's funny. I was invited to play in a flag football tournament by DRC. Asked me to play on his team because he doesn't care. We get out there and everybody in the stands was yelling at me within the first 10 minutes. Get this kid off the field. I mean, you want to talk about fast? I look around. I got people like Peter Ward. Mike Jenkins wasn't playing that day because he was hurt. But DRC was out there. You're out there. Adrian McPherson's out there. There's all types of collegiate All-Americans. There's professional flag football players. Everybody's running like a 4.3 or better. And here I am, 40 years old. Oh, it was embarrassing. Finally got to the point.
Fun times.
It was. Dominique comes up and he says, "Hey, can you throw it at least?"
Hey, fun times, man. You got to know your limits.
Yeah, well, I found out my limits real fast. I got off the field after the first game. That was it. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm coaching." Go ahead and sub me out. But
hey,
yeah,
that's like me on a basketball court, man. Hey,
I've seen it. I've seen it. That is true. But, it's like it's interesting. If you've never been on a football field with athletes like that, you don't know how fast they really are. I always thought, okay, these guys are fast. But when I was out there on the field, I was scared that if somebody collides into me, I'm going to die. It's so fast. I'm dead serious. I thought if one of these crossing routes, and I get stuck in the middle, like if one of these wide receivers runs into me, they're going to break my bones. I mean, it's going so fast, you flinch. It's scary. I could not imagine being on the NFL field with those monsters. I just can't imagine it. I don't think NFL players are paid enough. I mean, at all the three major sports, they're paid the least. And for the work they do, they should be paid the most because I'm telling you right now, ladies and gentlemen, it is like traffic. You feel like you are standing in the middle of a freeway and everything is just flying by you like 100 miles an hour. Like, what just happened? And the play's over.
Hey, Steve, quick story. Oakland. I go to Oakland. First day. That's the way I felt, Steve. My legs locked up, everything. I was so nervous. I'm like, oh my God. First of all, I'm like, I've reached my goal I'm on the NFL team, but now I'm nervous as hell. I'm trying to play it off, but my legs went numb. I couldn't move them. We get in the first W drill. I've did W drills my whole life since I was 9 years old as a defensive back. That's the first drill you learn to do, a W drill. And within the first 3 steps, I bust my butt. And I remember Charles Woodson asked Chuck Pagano, who was our defensive back coach, in a joking way. Charles like, this the guy y'all spent the first round draft pick on? I'm like, oh, man. First of all, hey, this Charles Woodson, one of my idols. Hey, he already going off on me. I'm like, man, sheesh. What? Hey, you only can make one first impression. But
yes.
Hey, you get the jitters out. Hey, and I just went and played ball from there. But I'm just saying that story because I understand how you felt. It's like everything is just moving so fast out there.
Oh, it was, and this was flag football. I knew nobody was going to tackle me, but I still felt scared for my life. I was looking around thinking, is there an ambulance around just in case? Because this could get bad. I mean, it's definitely fast. It is fast. It's incredible, the athletic ability of these guys. I mean, it's something else. But anyway, let's talk a little college football. We had some good games on the grid this weekend. I know you love your college ball, and there were some surprises. My Miami Hurricanes snuck into the top 25, which I like to see, but they haven't really played anybody yet. But we'll see what happens when they face good competition. But we had some really good college games. What games did you enjoy watching this weekend?
It's the games that I enjoyed watching. First of all, college football. Let me say this loud and clear. Don't give me a great week 1 and then backdoor it with a BS week 2. This was awful this week. Now, some of the lower-ranking teams did show up to play versus some of these top dogs, like Troy State versus Clemson. What the heck, Clemson? Are y'all serious? You seriously can't get Troy State out. Clemson, you have national championship aspirations, and you can't get Troy State out of the way. Look, it went down to the 4th quarter versus Troy State. Troy, all right. Let me stop. They're Troy now. Troy University. They're Troy State to me because every year they came to Nebraska, we kicked their butt. It was literally like our preseason game. You don't get a preseason game in college football, but Troy State was ours. And I'm like, Clemson, come on now. You're literally, all the voters, a lot of voters, if you looked at the playoff predictions, had Clemson in it and not the other team in the conference, which I promise you, they're starting to flip now. You know that team in North Florida? That team in North Florida is pretty good. Mm-hmm. They have a freshman quarterback, Francois. He's not afraid to throw it around the yard.
Francois.
He's not afraid to throw it around the yard. And to get back on Clemson, I feel like if you're going to be an elite program, you can't struggle with teams like Troy State.
Well, now, you know they
a
look
win
at the
is a
schedule.
win.
Yes, but they
win
look
is
at
a
the
win.
schedule and they don't get up for that game. You know that. You played for. Yeah, but they don't. They think
because
I'm
it's
a good
playoff
enough
thing,
athlete.
Steve.
Yeah, I'm a good enough athlete. Thing. Yeah, but they just don't.
They thought they was going to out-athlete them.
Right.
They thought they was going to out-athlete them, and you're absolutely right, Steve. When you bring up the point, you can't out-athlete everybody. You have to prepare week in and week out like you're playing against Florida State. I guarantee you, if they prepare like they were preparing for Florida State, they beat Troy State by 70.
Right. Because
they're the much better team. But for some reason, I feel like I know for a fact the guys at Troy, they prepared like it was their Super Bowl.
Oh, absolutely.
They prepared like, hey, I'm going to get drafted off this game. That's how they prepared. That's how those guys look at it. But the guys at Clemson are like, man, we're going to beat the hell out of them. I know how guys walk around. Man, we're going to beat the hell out of them. So now you're not preparing as you would. You're not watching the film. You're not doing the film study. You're not sitting down talking with your teammates. For example, I would be always talking with my safeties because that's who I got to communicate with on the back end. Hey, if they do this, what are we gonna do? I always tell my safety, I need you to make that call, because one thing we got on defense is if we all wrong, we right. If we all on the same page, we can get through a bad play. But if 10 guys on the field is doing one thing and one guy isn't, that's a busted play. That's a busted coverage. That's a 90-yard touchdown run. That's a 90-yard touchdown reception. You gotta all be on the same page. And I promise you, Clemson. Did you not see the kid return the punt and then flip it at the 1-yard line? It was
I see
terrible.
that too many times.
It was terrible. It's like, where's your head at, dude? Where's your head at?
The after party.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's like they wanted to get that hour, those 60 minutes over with, so they can now, just go party. But Troy wasn't there for that. Troy actually came to play, and I hope it taught Clemson a lesson. We have to prepare for everybody, no matter what the competition level is. We have to prepare, because if you fail to prepare, if you prepare, oh my God, I'm messing this quote up. If you fail to prepare, you prepared to fail. One of my defensive coordinators told me that. It's that simple. It's that simple. You have to prepare. So, man, that was one game. That's a game that stuck out to me because they didn't play well. They didn't play well at all. But if I look at
that one game, let me interject real quick. That one game
where
the ending was ridiculous, but it never should have happened. The flea flicker, whatever you want to call it, the lateral. I think it was Coastal Carolina or some. I don't even know who was. Something Southern.
It was Oklahoma State and let me get this right.
Coastal Mississippi or something like
Western Michigan or something. I don't know.
Central somebody. It was Southern Alabama or something. I don't know who it was. But anyway, it was some school that shouldn't have been in the game. And at the very end, there was a dead ball foul, and they allowed an extra play that should not have been an extra play. The NCAA came out and said that was a mistake, that game should have been over after that penalty had occurred, that it was not an automatic, whatever, and they get to run, what do they call it, when they run a play with no time left? But that play shouldn't have happened. So while it was probably the most miraculous play I've ever seen with no time left, the guy throws the bomb, he catches it, turns around, he laterals it to the other guy running toward the end zone, he streaks to the thing, dives to the pylon, and the place goes bonkers. But it shouldn't have happened. And
no,
I think
it shouldn't.
How do they rectify that? I mean, what do they do? There's nothing you can do, right? It's just, sorry.
It's nothing you can do for the team that lost. There's nothing at all you can do for Oklahoma State that's going to make that right. What they did was they suspended the referees, I think, for a couple of weeks, and that referee crew can't work a bowl game. So they hit them in the pockets because the referee and the replay crew both got hit with the same suspensions. I think it was like 2 weeks, and you can't work a bowl game. Like I said, you're hitting them in the pockets. Those are regular working people. These people aren't getting paid millions of dollars. So, yes, that mistake was costly to them because they're going without being paid for a couple weeks and the big payday, the bowl game. So that's like the only thing you can possibly do, though. You can't say, okay, we're going to erase that last play and we're going to give Oklahoma State the win. No, you can't.
But I mean, let's say they run the table from here on out, though, and now they're in position to go for a national championship or something crazy. Now they can't. That loss will
You know
kill
what,
their
Steve?
chances.
If they run the table, that's a loss. Now, I'm gonna put this in two perspectives. That's a loss that the committee has to look at. If they run the table, that means they're gonna beat Oak. That means they beat Oklahoma. They beat Baylor. They beat TCU. They beat Texas. That's a pretty impressive lineup. So they beat all those guys. They go undefeated from here on out. The committee has to look at it. The committee has to look and say, technically, they won that game.
So you don't think it'll hinder?
Do
them?
we give? No. I say I'm not finished, but technically they won that game. But should the game have been that close in the first place?
Yes, and that's another one. We're able to show up. We're better than them athletically.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
So, hey, I doubt they run the table, so I don't think this is even going to come up. But that's just my thoughts. It's going to be two sides to that. If they do so happen to run the table, the committee's going to have to talk about two sides of it. Do we count that loss as a loss? And do we say, why was this game even close? Now, if that game, now, put this in perspective. If that was to happen, think about this. If that was to happen, Clemson versus Florida State, do you know the magnitude of that play call?
Oh,
one of those teams are going to the playoffs. We know this. So if a team lost like that, the whole athletic department, school, players, everybody would be livid at those refs. I'm talking livid. I'm hot to the 75th power. I don't know. They would be.
the refs
so
wouldn't
fierce.
have got out of the field. They probably
No
would have got
way.
jumped on the way to their car.
You can't make those kind of mistakes. You can't make those kind of mistakes because you got somebody upstairs that you're talking to. I understand if it was back in the day when it was just those guys that were on the field. You can't expect those guys to remember every single rule in the playbook. In the book. So sometimes things are going to get lost. But you got guys upstairs also that's their job to get it right. That's their whole point of having a replay crew is to get it right. Do you not notice in college football? In college football, the guys on the field don't make the replay calls. The guys in the booth do.
Yeah.
So they gotta get that right.
It's true. But going back to Florida State, because you brought up that young freshman quarterback, I think that
DeAndre Francois.
I think that win goes a long way for them because I think now they know they're never out of it, and they can trust that kid. They know that if he has to drop back and throw the ball 50 times in order to win, they can. That he's got the ability to do it. I think those are the kind of wins to me that build teams up to get a national championship run.
You're referring to the Ole Miss win.
Yeah, I mean they were down,
Okay,
much.
the Ole Miss win.
Yeah, and as far as him being a passer, you know what I mean? And I think that's pretty huge. In my opinion.
Oh, no. The kid can absolutely sling it around the yard. I recall when he was in high school, his senior year, I went to go see him play a couple times when he was out at IMG. And he throws a beautiful deep ball. It looks just like a bird flying in the sky. I'm telling you, it's beautiful. So I knew the kid had the goods going into Florida State. He's just proving that he got the goods now, man. Hey, as I say, Florida State is my favorite to win it all, but anything can happen in college football. They got a tough one this week versus Louisville, probably going against. Oh my, man, Lamar Jackson. Not just change subjects, Steve.
No, I was looking at his stats too.
Hey,
yeah,
not to just change subject, but the kid that Florida State is playing against this week is like Jesus on the football field. The man rushed he threw for 400 yards last week and rushed for 200. That's insane. That's insane. I'm watching it, and I'm watching him I'm watching him on TV, and I'm just looking at my my Twitter timeline. My Twitter timeline is going crazy at the time. Like, this is insane what this kid is doing. So, and to mix him in with Florida State losing their starting safety, that's whew.
Yeah. I don't know. I still think
that's
Alabama
gonna be a good
will win at the end of the day when you talk about the whole thing. But yeah, it will be a good one. I think that kid, if you're playing that good, you feel that good, that's a tough out. I don't care who you're playing. When you're playing that well and you're doing it with your legs, you're doing it with your arm, you're doing it, just getting it done. I don't know. Louisville's riding high.
They are. They're confident right now. They're very confident.
Yeah, that's tough to beat.
Hey,
it is.
Hey, Florida State. Trust me, Florida State losing Durham Walker. Durham Walker is a major blow to me. Steve, you got to watch Sean Taylor at Miami. You got to watch greatness play safety. Derwin James is of that same mold, that Sean Taylor mold. He's the best safety I've seen in college football since Sean Taylor. He's that good. And they're going to miss him for at least 2 to 6 weeks, what Jimbo Fisher told everyone. So it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, it's true. We'll see. You never know. The guys have a way to heal up once they get that Toradol shot in their butt.
Hey, it ain't that much Toradol in the world. Trust me, I've had a few of those shots. It's not enough Toradol in the world to bring you back from a 6-week injury in 7 days.
Yeah, I've had them shots myself. They do work, but you're right. It doesn't heal you. It just covers it up for a little while. But anyway, let's get back, talk a little bit more about the NFL. I'm curious to hear from you as we saw week 1, and we're not going to overreact, but we saw week 1 action. Give me your top 5 teams as they sit right now.
Oh, wow, Steve. Wow.
Just 5. Just top 5. I don't need all 32. Just give me your top 5.
Dude, you know what? Denver won first week. Denver has to be number 1 to me. They won the Super Bowl. They haven't lost. So
since
Denver.
December. Okay.
So I'm going to put Denver as my number 1 team.
Okay.
Number 2. Let me see. What was the next most impressive team to me? Because, Steve, you kind of threw this one at me. I didn't prepare for this question.
No, I know. I know you didn't.
I'm just going to go off the top of the dome.
Yeah,
I'm just going to go off the top of the dome.
Right off the cuff, yes.
Okay, the Patriots.
Okay.
The Patriots won with a backup quarterback and no Gronk. I'm going to give them number 2.
Yeah, I can live with that.
Number 3, I'm going to go with the guys in Carolina. I'm still going to go. Yes, I'm still going to go with them. They lost on the road versus the tough defense. Hey, it is what it is. They lost. But I'll take the Panthers at number 3.
What about the Packers?
They're coming.
Okay.
They're coming.
I just want to make sure you didn't forget.
Hey, they're coming. Trust me. They will be in the top 5.
Okay.
They will be in the top 5. Now, I'm trying to figure out, are they going to be 4 or are they going to be 5? Right now, I really don't know. But me, where I'm going to sit them at, I'm going to sit them at 4. I'm going to sit them at 4. Packers at 4. And number 5, I'm going to go 8. They had a tough game on the road, different coast, pulled it out. I'm going to still go with the Seahawks.
Really?
That'll be my 5. Yeah.
The Seahawks didn't impress me. I don't know.
They didn't impress me either, but they're going to stay in my top 5 until otherwise. Pete Carroll impresses me. So
yeah, they find ways to win, but that offense looks anemic to me. Like, I don't know what it is.
I know what it is. I know what it is. Steve, I know what it is. There's a tight end that has been there for 2 years now that they can't get the ball. Get him the ball.
He's like 6'12".
Hey, Drew Brees made a living off it getting him the ball. Get him the ball. Sometimes you got to throw that guy the ball even when he's not open, because you know why? He's a basketball player, so he's going to go up and get it.
Exactly.
He's going to go up and get it. He has amazing ball skills in the air. Throw the ball up. Russ is playing too safe with that guy. That's one knock I will say with Russell Wilson. He plays too safe with his elite, and when I say elite, his elite tight end. Get the guy the ball. It will open up everything else. Now they're going to – if you get him the ball, sometimes you have to force him the ball. If you get him the ball, that's going to force teams to start putting cornerbacks on your tight end.
They seem like, to me, I don't know, maybe they don't. It just seems like to me they still have the training wheels on Russell Wilson's ability to pass. I just don't see – I don't know. It just doesn't look like a quarterback who they've given the reins to just drop back and fling it around the lot. I see passes that are structured passes. You know what I mean? A lot of
I agree with you. I'm agreeing
drops
with
you. And you know, I don't see many 7-step drops. I don't see, you know, him operating out of the shotgun with, you know, 5 wide and just finding open spots in the zone and just throwing darts. You know, everything looks like it's close to the vest. And I don't know. I just think it's time with the contract that he's going to command. You know what I mean? And the money that
he already got it, Steve.
Right. Well, again, you know what I mean. The money you're going to invest in this guy throughout the duration of his career, because he's still young. You know, the money he's made, the money he's going to make, the fact he's already won a Super Bowl, take the reins off him. Let him throw it around. Like you said, I mean, I don't know if it's – you say it's, you know, get at the tight end the ball. I just get everybody the ball. Doug Baldwin is proven to be a great receiver. He's proven that he's becoming great. He's going from good to great.
Great. I can go with that. Okay, I can rap with you now.
Yeah,
I can rap. He's becoming great.
But his quarterback isn't – he's not – I don't know. He's just not cooking the dinner the way he should be cooking the dinner, in my opinion.
Hey,
you know, let him go in there and throw the salt and the pepper around and get it going. Don't just limit the seasonings.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree. And the crazy thing about it is, Steve, when you talk about quarterback, and sometimes I get caught up in it too. I think everybody does. It's so hard to knock the guy in Seattle because all he does is win. But when you bring up the little things that he does wrong, people defend him. I'm like, dude, it's wrong. I don't care who it is. You gotta point out sometimes you gotta point out the little things that they do wrong. And you're pointing out great points about it. I don't know if it's him or I don't know if it's the OC. I don't know. I'm not in that building, so I don't know. I know one thing. You can only run what plays are called unless you have veto power at the line, and not many quarterbacks have that. So, hey, I'm gonna give him his. I always give the guys credit because one thing he does, he wins. He's gonna get you.
Oh yeah,
to the
he's a gamer. He
scares me.
He's one of those quarterbacks in many ways that reminds me of a John Elway type because he can run the ball when a play breaks down, and that frustrates you. I mean, you see it time and again. It's 3rd down and 8. Next thing you know, everybody's covered. You're thinking, oh, he got nowhere to go with it. Everybody's covered. He's stuck. And then he spins out of it, outraces the linebacker, makes the next linebacker miss, and then he runs over to the hash for a first down. And it's like, damn it.
Yep.
He makes you just so mad. And it's like that kind of thing is just, I don't know. It just frustrates you. But at the same time, it's like, I would like to just see him drop back and whip the ball around and whip, and see him just throw it 45 times and have a a super high passer rating and just see where it goes.
And the crazy thing is, Steve, he's done it before. He's done it. I've seen him throw for 400 yards, but they don't let him do it consistently enough. He needs to do it more. I think it was 2 years ago when he literally had to put the team on his back. He was throwing the ball all around the field. I'm like, wow. I think it was back-to-back games he threw for 400 yards, matter of fact. And that was I didn't think he had it in him. And the only reason why I remember this, like I said, I'm going off the top of the dome right now, no research, but I remember that because I was always saying there's no way he would be able to do something like that. And he did it. And I was like, wow. He threw for 400, I remember, back-to-back games. And while he's throwing for 400, he's always going to have those legs of his that's going to get him out of trouble. So, man, I love the kid. I absolutely love Russell Wilson, but I would like to see Pete at times. It's hard for me to say this, but take the training wheels off him, man. Let him throw the ball, man. Hey, throw the ball around the field, man. Hey, beast mode isn't there anymore. Open it up.
Yeah, and to see, this is the thing too. Like, I don't know if it's just their strategy. Like you see golfers on a golf course, and again, I always equate things to golf because I'm a golfer. But it's like you see Tiger always takes a long iron off of a certain hole because that's his strategy for this hole. And you say in your head, why doesn't he just hit driver? He can bomb it around the corner and play it this way. But that's just not his strategy. He's going to stick to the game plan, and that's just what he's going to do. So I wonder if in Seattle the game plan is to just keep the game close, rely on your defense, rely on your running game, and there's no need to wing it around 45 times because we're not built that way, and we're not going to get out of character. We're not going to get out of who we are or what we do because that's not what we do. We run the ball, we play good defense, we keep the game close, we have a quarterback who makes plays and wins us the game at the end. That's what we do. So, I mean, it works. The method has worked. Obviously, they have rings. They should have had two rings. Man.
So that's not. I'm just nitpicking. That's all I'm doing. Hey, I'm nitpicking.
For sure.
Hey, no. Hey, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I'm just nitpicking. That's all I was doing.
But see, like when I look at a team, to me personally, you gave out your top 5. To me personally, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers look sensational this weekend. And what I saw Monday night was an offense that, like you said, without a couple of their weapons and without their running back, without their stud, D'Angelo Williams looked like he was a fresh 23-year-old running back, not a 33-year-old running back.
I know.
And they're well coached. Their defense is good enough, and Roethlisberger is good enough. They've got probably the best wide receiver in the business in Brown. They can put up points on you. They can make you look foolish. And their defense is strong enough that they can get it done. So if I'm ranking the teams in my top 5, I got to put Pittsburgh in there because they look like they were the most cohesive unit offensively and defensively. They were clicking. It looked like everything that they practiced worked. It wasn't like they were searching for an identity. It wasn't like they're waiting, till the third quarter for things to click. It looked like for me they were clicking, right off the bat because they have that talent and they have the passing game, they have the running game, they've got the defense. So I think Pittsburgh's going to be a tough team this year. I really do. But if I'm ranking my top teams, let me give you my top 5 right quick.
Please do, Steve. Please do.
I am going to stick with the Broncos at number 1 for now. I'm very hesitant.
We can agree on that.
Well, I'm hesitantly saying number 1. Their quarterback situation makes me a little nervous. They won, but I don't know. At number 2, I'm going to also put New England because the Patriots went over and they played on the road across coast against a tough team. And the Patriots, I don't care who their personnel is. I don't care who their starting roster is. Bill Belichick is a damn genius.
Best in the business.
He is
best in the business.
He gets these guys. This is Belichick to me
is the coach that does not make mistakes, and his team doesn't make mistakes either. You don't see a Belichick team shoot themselves in the foot or do something stupid. They force the other guy to beat you. You know, they're like that golfer who hits the fairway, makes pars, and makes you make birdies and eagles to win. And then when you press, you mess up and you lose. He is just consistent with his approach. His guys do their job. They're never out of gap. They always fly to the ball on defense. They're very turnover laden. Their running backs do a great job out of the backfield of catching the ball and running the ball. So I don't know. The Patriots, regardless of who's in that lineup, they're tough. They're a tough team to beat. So they're number 2 for me. My number 3 team right now, I'm going to go with the Packers just because of Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson alone. I think if Eddie Lacy continues to play well, they got to get that defense up to par. And they got to get them to make sure that they're there. Because as we both know, defense wins championships. You can score all the points.
They need a corner.
Yeah.
They need a corner.
They need
number
some help
37,
on the back end.
Number 37 can play, but who's the other guy? 37, he can play. That's not up for debate. We all see that week in and week out. He could play, but they need another one. Bortles killed, and I hate Bortles killed the other corner. I actually watched that game. I watched that game because not to stop your top 5. Don't want to. I understand.
No, it's all good. We got time.
But I just had a thought. I was watching that game, and I'm in the Orlando area, so we have 2 local teams here. We're gonna get every Bucs game. We're gonna get every Bucs game. We're gonna get every Jacksonville game. Both those teams are our local teams. But I also have my NFL package. You gotta have it. No ifs, ands, or buts. But I was watching. I wanted to watch Jacksonville because of the defense. I wanted to see this defense. But while I'm watching Jacksonville's defense, I'm getting a chance to watch the entire game and assess the whole situation. Green Bay needs another corner bad. And it's too late in the season right now to go find one. So they have to get one on their roster.
You can always trade.
You
can. Well, I mean, who's going to trade an elite corner? I don't know.
You're not trading corners. You know the kind of corners you see get traded? Backup corners. You see backup corners. Nope. You see backup corner get traded. FYI, i.e. me. I got traded. That's who you see get traded. You don't see
some financial
elite corners. You don't see elite corners getting traded. No. So right now they need another guy that can complement Sam, and where teams can't just go to the other side like what I seen Sunday, because Bortles looked damn good versus that Packers defense, just because Packers didn't have another.
He's got a big arm too. I think Bortles.
I like Bortles. Yeah, man. I like Bortles too, man. I always have since he came out of UCF. But hey, give me that 4 and 5, Steve. It better be juicy too. It better be juicy. All right.
Well, 4, I'm going with the Steelers. I'm taking the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 4.
That's very respectable.
They look sharp.
And they did.
Number 5. Now, number 5 is where I get a little dicey. There's so many teams that I could put here, but I'm going to go with the former NFC champion Carolina Panthers.
Okay.
Simply because they have things that travel. They got a monster front on the defensive line. They got a great running game. And I really think that Kelvin Benjamin back is going to make a big difference for them. I mean, you kind of saw it in the Denver game. On those tough third downs, they got a big receiver. I mean, they still got Ginn that can stretch the field. And, they still got Cam who's, can pick up the short yards. They got all the pieces. They got everything that they need in order to be successful. and if it wasn't for a missed field goal, they win. So, they're right there. I think that they'll be right there at the end, too. I don't see them. I mean, I think the Buccaneers are probably going to be their toughest challenge in that division. Maybe the Falcons. They seem like they're getting a little bit better. But,
not
we'll
from
see.
Sunday.
Well, I like their running back. I like their running back combo. I think
both of them. Yeah, both
I think
of them.
They got to stop thinking that Matt Ryan is Tom Brady. You can't let this dude just. He makes some throws that really make you scratch your head. Like, what the hell is he thinking? Like, I don't know. He just confuses me, some of the stuff that he does. But, he's been in the league a long time. He should know better.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. It's a good, interesting season this year because we have teams that are on the rise. Like the Raiders, the Jaguars, you have your teams that, maybe falling off a little bit. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds for some of these teams that are, typical stalwarts. I'm interested to see what the Broncos do with Simeon. I don't know if they're going to maintain that elite level. Their defense
Keep
is
the
there.
Florida boy in. Keep the Florida boy in.
Hey, I don't know. It's just we'll see. I'm not as confident as I was when Peyton was there. I'll tell you that. Because even when Peyton was throwing those waffles, he still got them in the best looks. He got them in the best reads. He had a nice, calm presence about him where the team just said, "Okay, Peyton's here. Everything's going to be all right." And most of the time it was. I don't know if they can look at Simeon and say, "Okay, Simeon's here. Everything will be all right." But, the defense is still what they are, and they'll still get after the quarterback. So they'll be in ball games. Whether they win them all, I don't know. No, nobody wins them all, but you know what I mean. So we'll see. It's going to be an interesting year, that's for sure.
It will be. Week 1, no overreactions at all.
No, for sure. I remember, one year when the Patriots won the Super Bowl, they started off at Buffalo, and I think they lost like 38-3 and just looked terrible. And I remember the papers in New England were killing them, and and it was god-awful. And then just a few years ago, I remember they went to Kansas City, and they got beat like 45-14. And
that was 2 years ago. I remember that.
Yeah, and everybody was saying, "Oh, Brady's gonna be wiped off," and I mean that was week 4, but it's still early. It's so early in the season that so many things change. You never see a roster on week 1 that looks the same as it does in week 12 and week 15, and when the games really start to matter.
You got. Yeah, no, you're absolutely. You hit it dead on the head. You got injuries, free agency, people being benched. Things change throughout the.
Yeah.
You talking about week 1 to 12? Week 1 to 2, things change. So it's a week by week thing. I'm not going to start overreacting to about week 6. Week 6 is, I think, we're going to start to see the creme de la creme. The best of the best. The cream going to rise to the top towards week 6, 7, 8, 9. Right now, nobody knows anybody in week 1, 2, because every team is going to change their game plan from week 1 to 2. So, therefore, you're finna get a totally different game plan. Now, week 3, teams change their game plan. This is why when you're watching film, you usually watch the last 4 games because everything is on a cycle. It's not enough plays to run different plays for 16 weeks. So now you're going to have to start running these plays again. So what you do, you get familiar with teams' tendencies, and now let's see who can play football. Once I know your tendencies, let's see who can play football. The only tendency breakers usually come after your bye week. After your bye week, then you put in a couple tendency breakers because you did self-scout work. And your defensive coordinators looked at the offensive coordinators' stats or what they do on first, second, third down, and the offensive coordinators and coaches did the same thing. So I feel like after week 4 is really when teams are going to start to like, okay, we know what this team does, we know what this team does, because after that, it's no one making up plays. You play what you play. You are who you are.
Right.
There's no hiding.
And NFL coaches do a fantastic job of figuring out what you're not good at, and they make you do that. So if they know, for example, that you can't, roll out and throw to your right, they're going to force you right all day long, and they're going to make you beat them by doing what you can't not do. And that's what it becomes tougher. I mean, I remember when Josh McDaniels went to Denver, and the first 6 games they were 6-0. And I remember at the time I was talking with Leroy Glover, who is now the player personnel director with the Rams. And Leroy told me, Denver doesn't scare me. They're not going to do nothing. I said, what are you talking about? They're 6-0. Haven't you been watching? He said, they're going to get figured out and exposed real quick. They're not even going to make the playoffs. To watch. And I'm like, yeah, right, thinking he's just saying that to get me going, knowing I'm a Bronco fan. Sure enough, they didn't win another game the rest of the year. So
that's how it is.
It's how it is. They figure out what you can't do.
It is, dude.
You get
Steve,
exposed.
and trust me, just to piggyback a little bit off what you said before, with the teams know what another team can't do. Trust me, Steve, that team knows what they can't do. If a team can't stop the run, trust me, they practice all week trying to stop the run. They try, but sometimes you just can't make it work. You don't have the personnel to make it work. Or coaches never want to hear this. The game plan doesn't make it work. It's either one or the other.
Have you ever been on a team or in a huddle or in a locker room or anywhere where a player's openly admitted that they just can't cover or they can't handle the guy that they're playing against?
Me. Hey, I swear to you can pull up the film. Hey, I'm like, hey, this is my first year in Baltimore. I'm having a damn good season this year. And I go into the game very confident. I feel like I got everything situated. I've had to cover this one guy that wore the number 85 in Cincinnati. I got to cover him one time in Oakland. I know he's a tough cover. Absolutely know he's a tough cover. But we go into the game, and it's not like he's catching balls, because he wasn't catching balls or anything. But I just felt, I'm like, dude, I felt like he was open at times. Carson are missing sometimes. And I'm like, dude, what the hell? So I went up to Rex. I say, Rex, I need some help over there with 85. Oh, and the thing about Rex like, oh, shit, you should have been telling me. The first play, the next drive, literally, who was my help? Literally, we did a vice on Ocho, on Chad. We did a vice. Could you think who was my help that came out the vice?
Ed Reed.
No way.
I have no idea.
Terrell Suggs. And Terrell just threw him completely out the club. I say, there it is. He's done. He's done. Terrell threw him completely out of the club, dude. I'm like, you have to be honest with yourself. You can't be one of those guys that put yourself over the team. I knew, even though Chad wasn't having a statistical great game, I knew I was having trouble guarding him. Either he was too, that's pretty much what it was. He was just too damn quick. But I'm like, dude, I'm having trouble. When I played versus the Raiders, I was a little bit younger, but I felt like I did a damn good job versus them. But that particular, it was my first game versus them with the Ravens, and I struggled, man. And I told Rex, hey, I need some help. Hey, and the thing about Rex, that isn't a knock. Rex isn't gonna look at you any kind of way. You know what Rex got me? He got me some help. If you need help, ask for help, dude. Ask for help because it's you're making the team better. Don't think you Superman out there. These coordinators, they draw up stuff, and this is another. Oh my God, I love talking about Rex because Rex is like that guy to me. But I recall it's like you go into meetings on a Wednesday. Rex put in, no lie, on a Wednesday 100 plays. On Thursday, he might put in 20 more. Do you not understand by Friday all of that is cut down to probably about 40 plays because of what us as the players have told Rex? We'll be like, hey, Rex, hey, this ain't working. Because we see it in practice. We like, it's not working versus what you're trying to draw it up against. Rex quote is, any player that ever played for Rex, Rex is going to say, all right, well, we'll scrap the shit then. And that's him. He'll throw it away. He'll be like, hey, we'll come back we'll use it next week. And that's him. He's a player's coach. The coaches love him. That's why me as a player, I knew I could come to Rex, say, hey, I need some help. Because Rex knows everything that he runs isn't going to work either. And he knows that. And another quick one about Rex. Rex in meetings on Wednesday is always going to tell you, hey, guys, you gotta give me one bad call a week. Because I know I'm gonna call at least one bad one a week. And we knew that as a team. Luckily, we had number 52 out there. And sometimes he could correct Rex. It was amazing. Our locker room and our meeting rooms, dude, it's like you were open to talk about anything. You were freely open to talk about anything, and nobody was going to take offense to what you talked about. You know, it's some coaches that it's a dick swinging contest. They think, hey, everything that they call is right, and you need to make it work. Well, that's not humanly possible to make everything that you draw up work. I need you to not draw up something that a human can't do.
Yeah, it's got to fit your strengths too, like what you do,
Yes, because they might have worked. All right, say for instance, something may work with Nnamdi Asomugha that may not work for Fabian Washington. You know why? We're different athletes, different kind of athletes, two totally different kind of athletes. Something may work for Charles Woodson that didn't work for, say, a Deion Sanders. They're two totally different kind of athletes. So you got to figure out your personnel and let it work from there. You can't be a guy who's stuck in just your system and say, it's going to work, and I'm going to make it work. No, you're going to be out of a job. That's what you're going to be out of, because you can only fire so many players before, hey, you got to point the finger at yourself, or somebody else is going to point the finger at you. It's just that simple.
True. I've always wondered that, especially at your level. I mean, there's got to be a lot of egos, a lot of guys who walk on water, right? I mean, players who walk around.
A ton of egos.
So when they start getting beat, and they're not used to getting beat, what is the general reaction? Do some guys just get pissed? Do some guys just say, hey, it's sports? I mean, we all played sports. Sports, you're going to get beat. Some days it's just, you're the boxer. Some days you're the bag. I mean, it's just, that's sports. But what's the general consensus with players that get beat? How do they act?
All right, I'm gonna speak. When I speak, I'm either gonna speak for me or I'm gonna say some anonymous player because I won't put
I don't want you calling anybody
else's
out.
name.
No,
of
course not.
But for me, I love to talk about me because you've known me for years now. I'm openly free with like everything about me. But with me, when I got beat, sometimes when I got beat, all right, first of all, I was one of the locker room favorites. Everybody loved Fabe. It's not a player that you can interview that will say they dislike Fabe because I was just cool with everybody. Now,
that's true.
Cool
I've heard that a lot. So I can vouch for that. Go ahead.
Being cool with everybody doesn't always correlate with Okay, on the football field, we need you to play ball, bro. We need you to play ball. I'm going to be cool with you again Monday. But Sunday, I need you to play ball. And throughout my career, I was so up and down. I may have an amazing game this Sunday, and then 2 Sundays away, I have the worst game of my life. And guys are going to look at you crazy. Some of your best friends are going to look at you crazy because we prepared the same way. How are you the only one, not the only one, but how are you one of the only few that's just effing this up? Like, Steve, you don't understand. We push ourselves to the limit week in, week out to win the Lombardi Trophy. So when anybody mess up, I don't care who it is, when anybody mess up, sometimes you give them that little side eye like, man, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing? Dude, we prepared the same. We made sure. I know us as a DB crew in Baltimore, we would meet every Wednesday and Thursday night. Every Wednesday and Thursday night, we would meet at somebody's house. One of the players on the team, we meet at one of their houses, and we'll go over film. So everybody can be on the same page. So, say for instance, me, worst game I ever had in my life in the pros, worst game I've ever had in my life. We played this is my last game, my last year in Baltimore, and I got absolutely roasted versus Buffalo. Of all teams, the Buffalo Bills. First of all, this team was terrible. They were bad. That was a bad team, man. We watched them on film. We knew everything they did, and they destroyed not us, but me. Because, Steve, we got through it. We won that game. But they hit me up for 3 touchdowns. That's terrible. I don't care who you are. You get hit up for 3 touchdowns, that's terrible. 1 touchdown is bad enough. But 3? Man, it's some corners don't give up 3 touchdowns in a year. And I gave up 3 that game. I felt so awful. And it was, you could tell when players were walking around, yeah, we won. So, when you win, you kind of can sweep some things under the rug. Everybody coming over like, boy, Fade, boy, in a joking matter, not in a joking matter. Hey, Fade, boy, boy, look, boy, you better do something out there, boy. You weren't looking too good today. but now we lose that game, everybody in that locker room, the other 52 in the locker room, walking around looking at me like, dude, what the F were you doing out there? Are you not taking this serious? We do it. Now, are we going to say it? It's just, look, trust me. You know when all eyes are on you. You know it. In any sport, you know it. Steve, you a golfer. I promise you. You know if you shot this crazy shot, everybody was looking at like, what the heck? Like, He really tried to do that shot? Like no.
Oh, I'll tell you what happened. Last time I played my to get in the PGA of America, you have to take a playing ability test, which is 36 holes in one day. You play a round of golf, you stop for lunch, and you go play another round of golf. And you have a target score you have to hit. The very first tee box of the very first hole, I just dribbled it. I mean, dribbled it right off the tee box, right toward the ladies' tee marker. And all the guys in the group looked at me like, what? Yeah, you trying to be a golf pro? And right from the beginning, I was like, oh, my God, I just did that for everybody. I mean, the officials looking at me like, what the hell is that? I mean, it was a par 5, and luckily I still made par. I hit a 3-wood down the middle and got up and down, saved the 5. But I know what you're talking about. You can feel stupid, and when you feel stupid, it magnifies it. Like, man, what am I doing here? I've been there, trust me. Been there a lot.
You just feel so bad because it's not even me. Look, here's another. One thing about me, you're gonna always hear me say one of the Ryans quotes. Another quote that Rex used to always say: "Have skin like an armadillo, not like a baby rabbit." So I had skin like an armadillo. Everything could bounce off me. The only thing that hurt me was not living to up to the expectations of my teammates. That's the only thing. Man, what the outside world had to say, I didn't care. I would laugh at all that, what they had to say. But my teammates, man, because we grind together. We see the work that we put in. We know on Friday, we making all these checks. We jumping in front of passes. Hey, we like, oh, we finna have a whole bunch of fun come Sunday because we know we have prepared ourselves to win a ball game. And when you just lay an egg like I did that Bills game, it sucked, dude. It sucked.
Well, plus you had some
bad.
You had some fantastic leaders in that team in Baltimore,
Absolutely.
too. I mean,
52-20 is whew.
Doesn't get much better than that. I mean,
exactly. 52-20, man. Two of the best ever.
And we were talking before the show. I had the opportunity to talk with Ed Reed a couple times, and the time I interviewed him in Baltimore, his football knowledge is unbelievable. I mean, he blows my mind about what he knows about the game. I mean, you talk about a guy who is just so prepared and he just understands. I mean, the reason that he leads, well, I don't know about leads, but the reason that he has so many interceptions and so many turnovers and so many touchdowns is because he prepares and watches film and sees preparation. He has tendencies and he knows what to look for, and he explains it to you in a way that it makes so much sense to me. He made me feel like I could go out there and do it. Like, that's all it takes. I can do it, because he makes it sound easy, even though it's not. So I know with you being there in the huddle with them and being in the locker room with guys like that you felt that excellence. And I'm sure that, like you were saying, you felt like, hey, I don't want to let these guys down because they're Hall of Fame players. I mean, they're the best in the business.
No, you absolutely right, man, dude. And then you got those dudes. They're the first ones because Sugar, which is Ray, he will always come up to me, Faye, like, what you thinking, Faye? What, like, you all right? You all right? Like, because he's seen my ability. He seen what I can do in a game. So it's like what's wrong, man? Your head all right? Because that's the first thing we think as athletes. Hey, when you having a meltdown like that, it got to be something at home that's causing it. It can't be just you letting this guy beat you every single play. And I told him, I said, dude, I'm fine. I just don't. Right now, I'm just out of it. The dude literally owned me. It was Lee Evans. He literally owned me. And I'm like, everybody was like, everybody. One thing about one thing is, I'm Fabian Washington, but to my mom, I'm her baby. And she watches every single game. My mom, I recall after that game, my mama said, baby, was you all right today? I said, yeah, I was good. Well, you sure didn't look good. I'm like what are you like, oh, she's so rough on me, man. I'm like, dude, she gonna keep it 100 with me no matter what. She was like, you didn't look good. What was wrong? I'm like, well, nothing wrong with me. Hey, he just beat me. He was like, well, baby, you got to do better next week. I'm like, trust me, I know. So,
it's not easy. It's not easy. We all know that.
Hey, they get paid too.
Absolutely. I mean, you're talking about the best athletes across the, in the world that are out there running around, and like you said, they're scouting you. They know what you're good at, what you're not good at. They're attacking you, and hey, shit happens. Life happens. Not everything's always going to be roses, and that's what life is about. It's not about how it knocks you down. It's about how you get up and keep competing.
How you get up.
That's it. We all been there.
Character is how you get up. Now how you just living when you on that life's high. How do you act when you get knocked down? How do you get up? Be as honest as possible.
Yes, sir. I think you hit mute or something. We lost you for a second there, I think. But you're back now. Something happened. Either way.
Oh, wow. I didn't press anything, but
Well,
I'm sorry about that.
It could have been the radio station as well. Sometimes there's technical difficulties. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, our couple hours here on Florida Boy Sports is coming to an end. I did get a text message from our friend, Mr. Warren Sapp. He had a long day fishing. Unfortunately, he fell asleep, and he is unavailable tonight, but we will get him on the show with us again in the future, so I do apologize about that. But we will get him on, and we'll talk some football in the future. We'll see everybody on Friday. We're going to bring a little up-and-coming recap, if you will, or we should say projections for the weekend's game. We'll talk a little college football. We'll talk about what's coming up for the NFL for week 2, what games we're looking for. We'll go through our picks again and tell some more stories and have some more fun. Fabe, thanks for being honest, telling us your stories, man. It was a good time. I appreciate you.
Man, that's what I'm here for, man. Honesty, love, and respect. That's it.
There you go. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you guys on Friday, same time, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. live here on Blog Talk Radio, Florida Boy Sports. I'm Steve O. That's Fabo. We'll see you guys next time.
It's game time. Tackle your epic tailgating parties in a snap. Join Sam's Club today for big savings on all your game day favorites. Score big points with your family and friends by grilling up pork loin back ribs just $2.98 per pound. Save $4 off 2 bags of Kingsford Original Charcoal Briquettes, Limit 3. Whether you're feeding a small huddle or a huge crowd, Sam's Club prices will make your tailgate a winner. Join and save. Sam's Club. Life is better in the club. See club for details. It's game time. Tackle your epic tailgating parties in a snap. Join Sam's Club today for big savings on all your game day favorites. Score big points with your family and friends by grilling up pork loin back ribs just $2.98 per pound. Save $4 off 2 bags of Kingsford Original Charcoal Briquettes, Limit 3. Whether you're feeding a small huddle or a huge crowd, Sam's Club prices will make your tailgate a winner. Join and save. Sam's Club. Life is better in the club. See club for details.